No one, not even superheroes, can save everyone. Welcome back to my comic book examination and analysis series, where today we're departing from our usually mutant-focused titles and instead are visiting the world of our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Specifically, we'll be taking a look at the major narrative shift that occurs in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 121. This issue, in a way, marked a dramatic shift in the comic book storytelling landscape, and it sent out shockwaves that are still relevant in Spider-Man's current continuity. This is the night that Gwen Stacy died. Now, before we dive into the issue, there's some important context we need to take a look at in the preceding issues. Prior to this, Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, and his girlfriend at the time, Gwen Stacy, had been going through a rough patch in their relationship, which was made worse by the tragic death of Gwen's father, Police Captain George Stacy, which occurred in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 90 after he saved a child from falling debris that was a result of a fight between Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man. This moment is super important for multiple reasons, the first being that, in a way, this issue was the real major shift in Spider-Man comics, as this is where fans first became really aware that these Spider-Man supporting characters were not safe from the permanence of death. Another critically important detail is at this point in Spider-Man comics, Captain Stacy was already starting to unravel the secrecy of Spider-Man's true identity. In fact, he was basically certain in his conclusion that it was Peter, so much so that Peter, in an attempt to throw him off his trail, asked the Prowler to pretend to be Spider-Man so Peter and Captain Stacy could both see Spider-Man at the same time, thus proving Peter couldn't possibly be Spider-Man. This did not work. But most important of all, I think, are the final words Captain Stacy says to Spider-Man, to Peter Parker, really, and those words are, "Be good to her, son. Be good to her. She loves you so very much." Well, after the death of her father, Gwen departed from New York City for a while to figure some stuff out, but by issue 121, Gwen Stacy has returned to NYC, completely unaware of the impending doom she would soon face. So the issue itself actually opens up with a subplot about Harry Osborn's drug use, but this is actually a really important piece to the story of Gwen's death. You see, at this time, Harry Osborn's character was being used to display the destructive impact that drug addiction can have. There's a whole controversial history there that I'd like to talk about in another video maybe if you all would like to see that, but for now I'll just say his drug addiction also helps set an immediately more grim tone to this particular issue, but also it's deeper than that because Harry and his father Norman, aka the Green Goblin, are both being afflicted by conditions that are altering their mind, behavior, and fundamentally changing the way they are and how they perceive the world. Now, the major difference being that Harry's is a result of a very human issue, which is drug abuse, and Norman's is a fantastical result of your typical comic book science fiction accident. Here's where it gets really fascinating to me, though, with a part of the message that they're trying to get across to us. Harry Osborn and his current state, in a rabbit hole way, is very much because he's a victim of his father. Constant emotional abuse and the pressure to live up to his father's expectations have cemented feelings of inadequacy into Harry. It has ruined his self-esteem and turned him toward the path of escape via drugs. And there's a lot more to that relationship we could talk about with how Harry's life has been negatively affected by his father, but what's the point of injecting this side plot into this particular issue? Well, I believe it's partially to show the destructive impact one family, one legacy can have on the world and how that kind of ripples outward. In this issue, both Harry and Gwen are victims of the Green Goblin. The tragic narratives of both these characters, and even Peter, obviously, all result from one man's destructive destiny. Nothing that happens here is accidental. It's all directly caused by the Green Goblin, which also, in a way, represents the externalization of Osborn's unethical and unstoppable quest for power that's gone so far that it's even corrupted himself. Following that setup, we learn how devastated Gwen is about Harry's condition, and the weight of everything this character's been through is really starting to crash down around her. And I know it's popular to joke about Parker luck, but Stacy luck is also most certainly a thing. She's a character who was just molded by trauma and travesty in the short time that we did have her in the comics. But Peter also feels a guilt and responsibility for all of these things that happen to Gwen and for how their lives are seemingly falling apart around them, and that plays into, again, the major theme of not being able to save everyone and not always being able to protect the people you care about, whether it's emotionally or physically, despite the amazing, incomprehensible power that comes with being an individual like Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Norman Osborn's mental condition is getting worse, and in his goblin persona, he remembers that he's learned that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is the perceived reason for all of his problems. And motivated by a manic obsession to destroy any obstacles in his way, the Goblin kidnaps Gwen Stacy and uses her as leverage to lure Spider-Man to the George Washington Bridge, where their ultimate face-off begins, high above the city, in a testament to the life-altering stakes of superpowered conflicts and emphasizing the fragile mortality of those without powers who get sucked up into these matters. But this isn't just a physical confrontation between the two, it's an emotional one and a symbolic one too that encapsulates the struggle between good and evil, love and hate, and logic and insanity. It's also in a way highlighting a flaw and a failure on the young Peter Parker who wasn't able to live out his dual identities correctly, and it cost him so much and will subsequently cost him so much more. After the Green Goblin offers to let Gwen Stacy go free if Spider-Man offs himself right then and there, Spider-Man of course refuses, and the unthinkable happens. The Green Goblin throws Gwen Stacy off the bridge. Many are familiar with this classic moment, of course. In the panic, Spider-Man shoots a web to catch her, seemingly reaching her in time, even celebrating his spider powers. But the sudden stop caused Gwen's neck to snap, killing her instantly. It's a powerful and devastating realization as Peter slowly figures out what happened, and again, it fits into that central theme. He's literally thanking his spider powers, but in reality, even with them, there was nothing he could do to prevent this death of the woman he loved. And we get such a powerful visual representation here as well that really heightens the emotional impact of the scene. Peter holding the lifeless and frail body of Gwen has been ingrained into comic book culture and remains a powerful image depicting the harsh realities of superpowers and the heavy cost of failure those who have them must face. There's no victory here, there's no triumph, only loss. It's truly the end of an era of innocence and a message to comic book readers that even the brightest of heroes aren't immune to the darkness chasing them. Loss, regret, and responsibility. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 121 is a landmark in comic book storytelling. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Also, please let me know if you'd like me to continue this with issue 121 and sort of go over the showdown between the Green Goblin and Peter Parker Spider-Man after this, or if there's another series or issue in that series somewhere that you'd like me to take a look at and sort of give this kind of analysis for, I'd be very happy to do that as well. And with that, you all have a great rest of your day.